Hello everyone, I'm in 7 Spectres, and with Lightfall releasing, it opens up the new ability Strand. And so this is my version 1 of Strand for Warlock. The reason I'm saying version 1 is because on the 7th of this month, there are going to be more fragments available to us and will make this build even more potent. So we are limited with what we have right now, so this is version 1. So let's go ahead and get started with what we are going to be doing. So for the super, that's sort of the standard one, conjure a hail of deadly woven needles. It's quite cool. Enjoy seeing things just explode with lots of yellow explodey lights. It's quite cool. Rifts are not really needed. Not really required for this build. I mean, is you can either do healing or empowering, up to you. As for the jumps, I prefer burst, but it's up to you as well. Now the melee arcane needle, the important one is the last sentence at the bottom. Unraveled targets unwind in a tangle when defeated. So tangle is the little orbs that you see floating around that you might have picked up from your fire team members, where you can just throw it at enemies or shoot them and they explode. And so this is going to be part of the build that we're going into, so just keep that in mind. Next is the grenade, threadling grenade, a woven projectiles that reweave itself into threadlings while in flight. So when you throw the grenade, it explodes on impact and it produces 3 threadlings. Now, threadlings, if there's no enemies around, it will return to you with the stacks if possible. So as you can see right there, it also works with the rifts. Now moving on to the aspects, the Weaver's Call. When you cast your rift, you create 3 threadlings and deploy any threadlings that you have in your perched. So what it means by perched is we'll look at that in the next aspect. Mind Spun Evocation, and what we're looking for is the last paragraph on the one where we can consume our threadling grenade and immediately generate 5 perched threadlings. So this, in conjunction with the first one of our rift, is that when we consume the grenade of the threadlings, we get 5 stacks. And then on top of that, when we use our rift, we generate 3. So 5 plus 3 is 8 threadlings that you can consume and deploy with your rift in a single burst. And if you have your grenade again, you can actually deploy up to 11 threadlings, which is quite crazy. So just though the grenade as the 2 aspects just by themselves is pretty potent. Now for the fragments, as I mentioned, we are limited because of we had to wait for next week. So these are the ones that will work for me. So first one is Finisher Final Blows Create Threadlings. So this is a pretty good one that gives you plus 10 recovery. But if you're getting near an enemy, you finish them, you create a threadling. And then next one is Picking Up an Orb of Power grants Woven Mail. Now this fragment, I would say, would be needed or required for any build that you're running, because with Strand, you pretty much get close to the enemies a lot, and so you want to get as much protection as possible. So I would highly suggest putting this on any of your Strand builds. Next one is Thread of Fury. Damaged targets with Tangled grants melee energy. And this sort of conjunctions with your melee right here, the arcane needle. Remember we mentioned tangled? Well, when you deal damage with your tangled bomb, when you throw it or shoot it, you gain melee energy back. So these two sort of just feed off each other right there. Now for the fourth one, it's up to you, but this is the best one I've found, is defeating suspended targets while precision final blows creates an orb of power. Now, you may notice that we do not have any suspending abilities, but if you're running with a fire team that is using that, then you can go for it and get your precision blows to generate orbs of power. The only alternate one is the grenade abilities, reload your equipped weapon, and airborne effectiveness. I don't really see that as a big requirement for this build, as well as plus 10 mobility is not really needed. And then the last one, defeating suspended targets grant class ability energy. Again, we're not suspending enemies. This will be for another build. So this won't be applicable for us in the long run. So those are the aspects and fragments. So let's jump down to the exotic weapon of choice. An exotic weapon of choice is the Quicksilver Storm, because just on this season alone in the release, the catalyst, it gives the gun the strand ability, as you can see right there. So it's a strand gun, and then when you use your grenade ability by holding your reload button with a grenade launcher ability, it creates tangles. And again, tangles are the little orbs, that green orbs that spawn when you use either your melee, and so then you can throw them around and all that fun stuff. So you're just creating more things that you can play around with, which is nice. Now for the exotic, we are using the newest one from the legendary story, Swarmers. And if you haven't done the legendary campaign yet or is thinking about it, I highly suggest it. It gives you very good armor as well as 2 exotic choices at the end of the campaign, and this is one of them for the warlocks. So the intrinsic perk is destroying a tangled spawns a threadling. Your threadlings unravel targets as they damage. So remember those green orbs I mentioned over and over again from your exotic as well as your melee? Well, if you destroy them, you spawn a threadling. So we're just constantly creating threadlings over and over again, summoning, destroying, summoning. So it becomes just a vicious cycle, which is crazy. All right, so let's take a look at the perks while we're here. So resilience, I'm not sure is still in a high use right now, but since we're wanting to focus on our rifts, we want to have this at 100. Then I would say resilience and discipline as 3rd. So the one that I'm using right now is Strand Weapon Surge. Your strand weapons gain a small bonus to damage when you have an armor charge. Your armor charge now decays over time. And so this will just buff our exotic so we can keep on doing damage while shooting. Now when we create an orb of power, when we run over it, if we're low, it replenishes our health. So which is nice, especially if we're going in the middle of the fight. You know, being healed up is going to be nice. And then also with the orb of power, we'll reduce our ability cooldown for our rift. So now let's go to the top and see what other armors pieces we're going to be using for in mods. All right, so rapidly defeating strand weapons finally blows creates orbs of power. So when we're getting killed with our exotic, we are generating orbs of power, which will feed us into healing as well as rifts. We can generate more threadlings, so that's fun. And also when we use our rift near enemies, we'll reduce our super cooldown and our class ability. So that is also nice too, so we can pop our supers. For our arms, we have increased loading speed because why not? There's no other 3 energy mod that I could find that was actually helpful for this build. Your grenade final blows create orbs of power. So if you want to, instead of consuming your grenade, you want to just throw it out and have your 3 threadlings go on a killing spree, generate a few orbs for you and all that. And then grant a class ability energy when you cause damage with your grenade. Sword ties in with this one. Now we already looked at our boots, and then the final one is our bond. And so the final one is reduce all ability cooldowns when using your class ability near enemies. That sort of ties in with Dynamo, and so it just feeds into our rift abilities. And then when we run over an orb of power, our next weapon final blow. When we use our class ability, when we get killed with our exotic, weapon final blow spawns an orb of power. So we should be able to generate 2. So yeah, that is pretty much it. The idea is generate orbs so we can get healed, get our rifts back, but also get damage output, and then just continue the cycle while we're doing threadlings. So again, this is version 1 of and we'll have to wait until next week for version 2. So make sure you're subscribed to the channel, and I'll see you next time.